Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Elon's Little Kitchen and happy International Women's Day. Today, I'm going to be making an amazing meat dish. It's called Rouladin. And it's actually very easy to make. And I'm going to be making it in my cast iron frying pan. And we're just going to go from there. So Rouladin is a beef dish, and it's made, this is 4 pieces of very thin cut beef that you can get from the butcher. I've never been able to buy this at the grocery store, always from the butcher. So it's a very long piece of thin beef. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to roll it with stuffing. And then we're going to make a sauce for it. So then we're going to start. So you lay out your beef like this. I'm just going to wash my hands quickly. Again, rinse them off as I'm touching the raw meat. And I'm going to put my filling on it all the way across. So I have diced mushrooms, like chopped up mushrooms, chopped up onion, chopped up tomatoes. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab a handful of these mushrooms and I'm going to put them on this, and not bulky, because like I said, we're rolling it. So you don't want, if you have too much on, you're not going to be able to roll it properly. And I start about an inch from the bottom where I'm going to start the roll. I don't put anything there. So I put some mushroom, I put some onion. I love this stuff. This here is an amazing dish, and it's also good if you wanted to make it ahead of time. It's a good freezing dish that you can use to freeze. And then just some tomato. Now, not a lot of tomato, because tomatoes produce a lot of juice. And they're also acidic, and that can make your meat a little bit tough. So now that I got that like that, I'm going to rinse my hands again. You'll notice that I'll be rinsing my hands a lot. I just got to find my tea towel here. I had moved it. I'm just going to keep my tea towel on my shoulder because it's going to make it so much easier. And I'm going to put the rest of this meat out of the way for now. So now that I have this here, like this, before I roll it, I do want to add a little bit of salt and pepper and seasoning. So I'm going to use my spoon because I have the kosher salt, and I'm just going to sprinkle very little, like less than a 1/4 teaspoon for the whole thing. And pepper, well, you do pepper to your taste. Okay? Not too much, you don't want it overwhelming. And in this dish here, I have dried oregano, just a little pinch of it. It goes a long way. I have paprika. So I'm just going to pinch it a little bit of paprika. And I have dry mango powder. Dried mango powder actually helps bring out the flavors of the food you're cooking. So just a little bit. It's not sweet like a mango, although it is mango powder. And I'm just going to put a little bit of garlic on there as well, but not a whole lot because we're going to be using garlic in the sauce too. Okay? So now you want your kitchen twine. And you want a pair of scissors. Now I have 2 pairs of scissors I only use for the kitchen. They're not allowed to be used for anything else. So I got twine, and I'm just going to cut a fair nice size piece off. So if I fold it in half, it's probably about a foot. It's probably about 28 inches long. And there's a reason for, you don't need this much. But it's better to cut too much than not enough, and then waste. So to start the rolling of the Rouladin, and if I could speak today, that would be great. I'm going to grab the top of it and just like a fold over the bottom part of the stuffing. I'm going to keep my baby finger on this hand and my baby finger on my left hand to kind of pinch it a bit. And I'm going to use these 2 fingers to kind of hold it together. Okay, and then I'm just going to flip it over, and then I'm just going to do it again. And I'm going to do it again. Now, because it's getting harder, I'm just going to pull it down gently towards the side of the cutting board near the edge. So I'm not reaching too far. And then I'm just going to pull up the edge. Now we know there's no way on this earth that this is just going to stay together like this while we fry all around sides of it. And this is where the string comes in handy. So I'm going to grab the string at one edge here, and I'm going to just gently lift it up and put it on the edge, just around the edge here, and I'm going to tie a knot. Okay, now I still have this long piece. So what you're going to do is you're going to cross over like this, hold your thumb, so you got kind of like a line, or not your thumb, your forefinger. Hold it like this, and then lift up the other side gently and slide it under. And you still got your finger there. I don't know if you can see that, I'll kind of tilt it a bit. And that there, you pull under, and you make the other string underneath that, and then you can make a knot from there. And if it's too loose, which I think I just did, because I'm usually a lot faster at this, I'm just going to go around it one more time. And showing on the video and going a little bit slower makes it a little bit difficult, but that's okay. So now I've got that, and I'm just going to cut it. And I'm just going to put that aside, and I'll be back. I'm just going to roll the other 4 pieces, and then I'll continue from there and show you the rest. Great. So I got all 4 pieces of beef rolled, tied, and ready to go into the pan. So the first thing we're going to do is heat up our cast iron frying pan. Now, I don't know how many people use them. I absolutely love them. I just love them. But you got to make sure you take care of your pan, because if you don't, it'll get all rusty. And you can always fix it. It's easy to fix a frying pan made of cast iron that's not been taken care of properly. You always got to make sure it's seasoned. So mine is already seasoned. And I'm going to heat it up. I'm going to put it on a medium heat just to heat it up a little bit. And I'm just going to grab my oven mitts here because the handle gets quite hot. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to use avocado oil for this purpose. You could use olive oil if you want. Avocado oil has a higher heat burning point. So it can go up to 500 degrees. Or olive oil, typically 450 degrees. So I'm going to generously put that in the bottom and let that warm up. And then while that's warming up, I'm just going to give you guys a little hint. Like today, I'm going to be using beef broth that I bought from the store. Just a no-name beef broth. Low sodium, because I like to add my own salt. But your vegetable scraps. So when you cut your onions and your garlic and whatever vegetables you're cutting, I save my vegetable scraps, and I have one of those gigantic Ziploc freezer bags, and I dump them in there. Now, mind you, it's clean. I rinse all my vegetables off before I cut them and prep them, so I don't have to worry about that. And then once that baggie's full, I make a homemade, it's like a vegetable stock with it, and it's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So try to have zero waste. So now that this is starting to heat up pretty good, it's going to kind of shimmer it around the whole pan. And I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit higher because I want it really hot. Because we're going to brown the sides, all 4 sides, like all around the beef rouladin before we continue. And then we're going to make a really nice tasty broth with it, put a lid on it, and let it cook. So tonight we're having this for dinner with some just canned corn that I canned myself, and cauliflower, and then just a cheese sauce to go with the cauliflower. Not a homemade cheese sauce, just a package of old cheese mix that you throw in with some milk and whisk her all up and pour it all over your cauliflower or broccoli, whichever vegetable. I'm not making homemade cheese sauce today. When I do, I will be sure to make a video of that. So now that this is, I could feel the heat when I put my hand here. I'm going to put these in here. Oh, you hear it sizzle? How you know it's ready. Oh, I'm just going to wash my hands quickly. So from here on out now, I'll be using my tongs to turn the meat, and that will help prevent cross-contamination. So what I have left over now is I have some paprika. I have a very little bit of chopped mushrooms, and by the way, I used about 1/2 of an 8-ounce little package of cremelli mushrooms. You could use white mushrooms, you could use oyster mushrooms, you could use whatever mushrooms you like. I love cremelli, and I find cremelli is really good to cook with. And then I just used a medium-sized white onion, and that's what I had left, just about 1/8 of the white onion, and 4 cloves of garlic. And I probably used 1/2 clove in the inside between these 4, because I have about 2 large cloves all chopped up here that we're going to use with the sauce. My kosher salt, my pepper, my beef broth. I also have some Dijon mustard and some red wine. And that is going to make the sauce. So I got the plate, because once all 4 sides of this is browned, then I'm going to take it out. I'm going to scrape the bottoms with my wooden spoon here, just to get whatever little bits on the bottom. I'm going to throw in the onion, the mushroom, and the garlic. And I'm going to saute them around in the fat juice and the avocado oil. And we'll carry on from there. So this side's done. It doesn't take long to brown, and I'm just going to turn it a 1/4 turn. Now I tell you, if your meat is sticking to the bottom of the pan at this point, your pan wasn't either seasoned enough or it's not browned enough. When your meat is browned enough, it shouldn't really stick too much. And if your pan isn't seasoned properly, you will have sticking, or if you don't add enough oil. But it's a lot of it definitely has to do with the pan not being seasoned, or it's just not, your meat's just not browned enough, because it will stick if it's not cooked properly. So we'll give that a second. I'm going to continue rotating it to the other side so all sides are browned, and then we'll be back. Okay, so it's now just finishing up the 4th turn in the cook, and in the bottom of the pan you will see some like of this fat stuff. Let me see, I'll use this spoon and pull it up. So it looks almost like a jelly. That's a good thing. That's just full of flavor. Yum, yum, let me tell you. So now that looks like that's about ready. And it is. So it's nice and brown. You can see the brown spots on it on all 4 sides. So I'm just temporarily taking it out of here. And I'm going to place those right there for now. And now we're just going to continue. Just going to move this all in the middle. I'm going to throw in the onions, whatever's left over. The garlic, all that. Who doesn't love garlic? Now, if you're not a big garlic fan, you don't have to add so much. It's like mushrooms. If you're not a big mushroom fan, instead of putting mushrooms in your roulade, throw in some zucchini. So here I'm going to add that much salt. And, I don't know, about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And this here is probably about a teaspoon of paprika. So we're just going to add that in. We're going to stir all that up. We're going to scrape the bottom to get all that flavor from the browning. Yum, yum. And you can smell the flavors just mingling together. It's like a little party in the pan. Love it. You don't want to overcook these because they're going to sit and cook for a little while. So there we go. That's open there. That's open there. So now with my Dijon mustard, I always stir the inside of the bottle. I'm going to put a dollop in there. 2 dollops in there. And then I'm just going to pour. I would probably say just enough to cover the bottom of the pan, about a centimeter, no more than that though. And you give it a nice good stir. So you're mixing that mustard in with the onion and the garlic and the mushroom, salt, pepper, and the paprika. Oh, beautiful smell. I'm gonna let that cook down for about 2 minutes. Gonna move this stuff out of the way. Just gonna wipe here. I forgot my spoon rest. And remember, you want to keep your cooking area clean. I cannot reiterate that enough. It's so important. A happy kitchen is a healthy kitchen, is a clean kitchen. It just prevents cross-contamination and food poisoning and all that other yucky stuff. Okay, so now it's kind of thickening up a bit. I'm going to get my red wine and I'm just going to pour. Oh, yes. Okay. So I'm gathering I probably poured about a half a cup. I'm just going to stir that really nice together. And I'm going to get my Rouladin, or if you want to call it beef rolls. And I'm going to put them back in. Put it like that. Just like that. Now I'm going to turn the heat down to low. Okay? And then I'm going to put a lid on it. Now, my cast iron pan does not come with a lid. So I'm just going to use my metal lid from my other pot. And it's not going to cover it fully. So I'm just going to place it on top. And there is some steam coming out. And that's okay. And like I said, we're going to put it down to a low heat. And we're going to let this cook for 30 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes. Wow, beep, 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 beep. And then while that's doing that, I'm going to steam my cauliflower and heat up my corn. And we'll be back in 30 minutes to see the progress. Talk soon. And we're back. So we got about 2 seconds and the alarm's going to go off now. I'm just going to turn that off. And what we're going to do now is thicken up the sauce in the Rouladin. And that is hot, so I'm just going to take the lid off. Oh, that smells so good. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these out and just put them on a plate to rest. Oh, yummy. There we go. And I'm going to stir this up. Scrape off all the bottom there. Now what I've done is I've got about a tablespoon of cornstarch that I'm going to pour into here. And I'm just going to add about a tablespoon and a bit of water. I'm just going to mix it up till it's dissolved in this little bowl. You want to make sure it's dissolved, because if it's not dissolved, when you pour it into here, it's going to be lumpy, and you don't want that. So now I'm going to turn this up to high heat to bring it right to a boiling. And I'm going to use a whisk. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pour that in, and I'm going to whisk it around. And scrape the edges, because there's a lot of flavor on the edges as well as it makes it for easier cleaning. Oh, you're probably getting a lot of steam. I'm going to turn that off. I turned up my corn to boil, and it's boiled, so it's just done. Canned corn is the easiest. You take it out of the jar, you rinse it from the juices that it's already been canned in. I put it in a pot, I add some fresh water. I bring it to a boil. Once it's come to a boil, I turn it off, and that's it. And I can smell the fresh corn too. All these flavors. Oh, beautiful. And like I said earlier, we're having steamed cauliflower with this as well. So, and the cheese sauce. So I did that while this was on, because I'm pretty sure everybody knows how to steam cauliflower. But I am going to add just a little bit more cornstarch. I need a dry spoon. And, oh, not that much. Just a little bit more. And a little bit more water, just to kind of mix it up a bit, make sure it dissolves really good. There we go. There we go. Oh, I definitely will not need more than that. It's almost like a gravy, right? So it's to a boil, and I'm going to turn it right down to low. And just keep stirring it. And the reason why I keep stirring it is so it doesn't stick to the bottom and it doesn't burn. And a lot of times when you're cooking in a pan, all your seasonings and stuff go to the bottom of the pan. So this way, it's staying incorporated. Incorporated, word of the day. Anyway. Okay, so that looks nice and plenty. Now we're just going to serve it up. And I'm going to turn this off, make sure all my burners are off. And there we go. And then we're just going to get ready to serve it up. So now this is it all served up. You have your rouladin with your nice gravy sauce mix that we made with it, your cauliflower and the corn with the packaged cheese sauce. Hope everybody enjoys today's video. Bon appetit.